Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first 2021 edition of Adult Storytime, Storytime for Adults. First up, I want to say welcome to the new year, and we made it, so thumbs up to that. Second off, I wanted to share with you that for January, we're doing a kind of a series. The theme of the series is genres that maybe you haven't tried. And maybe stepping outside your usual genres, trying something new in the new year. So this week we are going to be featuring sci-fi, which happens to be one of my favorite genres. I was pretty much raised with sci-fi, fantasy, and speculative fiction. You may never have heard the term speculative fiction before. Basically, it's a term that means, what could be possible, an alternate Earth, alternate reality, that sort of thing, and science fiction falls under that umbrella. So I wanted to share with you today a reading from a sci-fi classic, as well as show you a few of my other favorites and encourage you to give it a try. Now, I think a lot of people look at sci-fi and they think, oh gosh, okay, so it's a bunch of technical, sciencey jargon, and there's probably a spaceship, and I don't know, there's probably like somebody floating around out in a spacesuit, and or it's just, really technical, and oh, that's not for me. But I'm here to tell you that there are so many, just like every genre of book, there are so many different types of sci-fi, and I bet you there's one out there for you. So I'm going to be reading today from the very first chapter of Octavia E. Butler's Parable of the Sower. And this book was published in 1993. It is regarded as a modern day classic of the genre. Here's a little bit about Octavia herself. Octavia Estelle Butler, born June 22nd, 1947, and died February 24th, 2006, was an American science fiction author. A multiple recipient of both the Hugo and Nebula Awards, she became, in 1995, the first science fiction writer to receive a MacArthur Fellowship. And here is a picture of Octavia. As you can see, signing, oh, getting a little glare there. We'll do that. Signing a picture. Well, we're getting some double Octavia. That's all right. You get a nice view of the rest of this room. Sure, that's very exciting for you. But that's Octavia. And so I wanted to share with you this book, and Parable of the Sower is from what we would call the dystopian sci-fi genre. So we're looking into the future, we're looking into society's collapse, we're looking into social and economic issues with a sci-fi bent. I think there's a touch of fantasy, just a hint, due to our main character, Lauren's, she has the ability to feel other people's pain when she sees their pain. So when somebody gets hit or shot or anything violent, if she sees it, if she witnesses it, she can feel it as well. So there's a bit of a fantasy undercurrent, but this is classified as dystopian sci-fi. As you know, or you may not know, a lot of times people also mix up or mix together sci-fi and fantasy, and while there are a lot of elements that draw them together and twist them together, they are very different and very distinct in different ways. So without further ado, I'm going to start with chapter 1 of Parable of the Sower, and I hope you enjoy it. Chapter 1. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. Earthseed, the Books of the Living. Saturday, July 20th, 2024. I had my recurring dream last night. I guess I should have expected it. It comes to me when I struggle, when I twist on my own personal hook and try to pretend that nothing unusual is happening. It comes to me when I try to be my father's daughter, Today is our birthday, my 15th and my father's 55th. Tomorrow, I'll try to please him and the community and God. So last night I dreamed of a reminder that it's all a lie. I think I need to write about the dream because this particular lie bothers me so much. I'm learning to fly, to levitate myself. No one is teaching me. I'm just learning on my own, little by little, dream lesson by dream lesson. Not a very subtle image, but a persistent one. I've had many lessons, and I'm better at flying than I used to be. I trust my ability more now, but I'm still afraid. I can't quite control my directions yet. I lean forward toward the doorway. It's a doorway like the one between my room and the hall. It seems to be a long way from me, but I lean toward it. Holding my body stiff and tense, I let go of whatever I'm grasping, whatever has kept me from rising or falling so far. And I lean into the air, straining upward, not moving upward, but not quite falling down either. Then I do begin to move, as though to slide on the air, drifting a few feet above the floor, caught between terror and joy. I drift toward the doorway. Cool, pale light glows from it. Then I slide a little to the right and a little more. I can see that I'm going to miss the door and hit the wall beside it, but I can't stop or turn. I drift away from the door, away from the cool glow, into another light. The wall before me is burning. Fire has sprung from nowhere, has eaten in through the wall, has begun to reach toward me, reach for me. The fire spreads. I drift into it. It blazes up around me. I thrash and scramble and try to swim back out of it, grabbing handfuls of air and fire, kicking, burning. Darkness. Perhaps I awake a little. I do sometimes when the fire swallows me. That's bad. When I wake up all the way, I can't get back to sleep. I try, but I've never been able to. This time I don't wake up all the way. I fade into the second part of the dream. The part that's ordinary and real. The part that did happen years ago when I was little, though at the time it didn't seem to matter. Darkness. Darkness brightening. Stars. Stars casting their cool, pale, glinting light. We couldn't see so many stars when I was little, my stepmother says to me. She speaks in Spanish, her own first language. She stands still and small, looking up at the broad sweep of the Milky Way. She and I have gone out after dark to take the washing down from the clothesline. The day has been hot as usual, and we both like the cool darkness of early night. There's no moon, but we can see very well. The sky is full of stars. The neighborhood wall is a massive, looming presence nearby. I see it as a crouching animal, perhaps about to spring, more threatening than protective. But my stepmother is there, and she isn't afraid. I stay close to her. I am 7 years old. I look up at the stars in the deep black sky. Why couldn't you see the stars? I ask her. Everyone can see them. I speak in Spanish too, as she's taught me. It's an intimacy somehow. City lights, she says. Lights, progress, growth, all those things were too hot and too poor to bother with anyone. She pauses. When I was your age, my mother told me that the stars, the few stars we could see, were windows into heaven. Windows for God to look through, to keep an eye on us. I believed her for almost a year. My stepmother hands me an armload of my youngest brother's diapers. I take them, walk back toward the house where she has left her big wicker laundry basket, and pile the diapers atop the rest of the clothes. The basket is full. I look to see that my stepmother is not watching me, then let myself fall backward onto the soft mound of stiff, clean clothes. For a moment, the fall is like floating. I lie there looking up at the stars. I pick out some of the constellations and name the stars that make them up. I've learned them from an astronomy book that belonged to my father's mother. I see the sudden light streak of a meteor flashing westward across the sky. I stare after it, hoping to see another. Then my stepmother calls me, and I go back to her. There are city lights now, I say to her. They don't hide the stars. She shakes her head. There aren't anywhere near as many as there were. Kids today have no idea what a blaze of light cities used to be, and not that long ago. I'd rather have the stars, I say. The stars are free. She shrugs. I'd rather have the city lights back myself. The sooner, the better. But we can't afford the stars. The stars are free, she shrugs. I'd rather have the city lights back myself, the sooner the better. But we can afford the stars. So that's just a hint of the story. First chapter sets up our protagonist, Lauren. Here's a brief synopsis in case you're interested, and I would love to encourage you to seek this story out on Hoopla, where you can download it. No waiting for holds, which is great. Excuse me. So for the full background, in 2025, with the world descending into madness and anarchy, one woman begins a fateful journey toward a better future. Lauren Olamina and her family live in one of the only safe neighborhoods remaining on the outskirts of Los Angeles. Behind the walls of their defended enclave, Lauren's father, a preacher, and a handful of other citizens try to salvage what remains of a culture that has been destroyed by drugs, disease, war, and chronic water shortages. While her father tries to lead people on the righteous path, Lauren struggles with hyper-empathy, a condition that makes her extraordinarily sensitive to the pain of others. I'm going to skip over a little bit of the synopsis because I don't want to spoil it for you. But things happen, and Lauren must make her way north to safety, along the way conceiving a revolutionary idea that may mean salvation for all mankind. Hoopla does classify it as coming of age, fantasy, contemporary, and science fiction. And online I saw it classified as dystopian science fiction. So as you can see, there is a little bit of overlap there. Again, that's available on Hoopla to you right now, along with other Octavia E. Butler books. And I wanted to share with you a few more of my other favorite sci-fi books. As I told you, I'm a big sci-fi nerd, sci-fi fan. So one of my favorites, this was probably my favorite book that I read last year, was Recursion by Blake Crouch. If you like time travel, if you like quantum mechanics, if you like a thriller, this is a definite pickup for you. Blake Crouch also wrote Dark Matter, which you may have heard of, another excellent time travel-y sciencey book. He's great. His books kind of read like movies, so it's almost like you're watching the movie in your head. I know that's how a lot of books read, but the pace of it, you can see it so clearly. It's really great. Another favorite author of mine is Jeff Vandermeer. He is more classified in the subgenre of science fiction called weird fiction. You almost get a sense that you're in somebody else's dream. That's how I feel when I read weird fiction. It's one of my favorite genres. You might recognize Jeff Vandermeer, or you might have heard of the movie Annihilation, which was based on one of his best-selling books. Very weird, very strange. This is one of his first books, City of Saints and Madmen. And pretty soon they'll be coming out with, if they haven't already, a book that compiles all of his tales from the fictional city Ambergris. That will include this book and the other two in the series, the Loose series. Highly recommend that if that sounds interesting to you. One of my favorite female science fiction authors is Connie Willis. This is her book Blackout. It's a part of a duology, so a 2-book series, Blackout and All Clear. It also involves time travel, but in a different way. There's so many different types of time travel. You never even knew, you know? So, I had no idea before I got more into the genre, and I kind of love it. I love the way that different authors play with different themes. So Blackout is like historical fiction mixed with time travel and sci-fi. It takes place during World War II. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely pick it up. I love Connie Willis. Is great. Epic. And the last one I'll share with you is the author Martha Wells. I recently gotten into her what's called the Murderbot series. Now it sounds more nefarious than it is. Our protagonist in the Murderbot, she has dubbed herself Murderbot, and she is a very funny, very dry AI, artificial intelligence, that's kind of, she's got to keep watch over her assigned humans. She kind of pretends she doesn't really care about them, but she does. And she wants to keep them out of trouble, so she's always kind of getting in trouble herself to keep them out of trouble. She also has other AI friends. The books are really funny and really, really well done. This is actually the 5th book in the series, the first full novel in the series. So you'd want to start with the Murderbot Diaries and the first one. So this one just came out this year, and that's why I own it, because I was so excited I had to have it. So those are just a few examples of the varied and wonderful genre of sci-fi. I know that was just a quick taste of Parable of the Sower, but if you like what you heard or you saw something here that spoke to you, please feel free to reach out if you're not sure where to start. And on our website, clpl.org, you can always ask a librarian. You can email us and say, you know, this is what I like in other genres. I really like romance. I really like this or that, but I'd love to try sci-fi. And they can whittle it down for you. Find some things that really fit all of your qualifications and all of your favorite types of stories, pacing, genre, types of characters, that sort of thing. And they'll find you something that you might like, or it might lead you to your next favorite book. So that's the first thing I'm encouraging you to try this year, this new year. And I hope that you give it a try and let us know what you try in the comments, or if you have any suggestions for other readers, if sci-fi is one of your favorite genres. So thank you so much for joining me today. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Our renovations are still ongoing, but we are here for you online and over the phone. So keep us posted, and we wish you a happy and wonderful new year. Bye, everyone.